Hello everyone, it's Dwillis, Kiwi Scrapper from New Zealand, and I'm here to share with you a project that I have just finished yesterday. It's been quite a number of weeks in the making because I haven't been able to work on it full time. Well, not full time because I actually work outside the house, but you know what I mean. I haven't had lots of time to work on it because I've been doing quite a few challenges and in the process of doing a couple of swaps as well, so making things for that. So it's actually an album that I cut out the pages of it before Christmas, and I put the pages together with the wadding inside of them, sandwiched between them, and then because Christmas came upon us, I was busy doing other things with Christmas and guests, and then I did some challenges, and then this was supposed to be my first album ever, but I then made another album for my friend Irene, and that's Seriously Scrapping here on YouTube in Australia. And Irene was having a birthday challenge, and one of the things that she was asking to be made for her birthday challenge was an album. So that turned out to be my first album. So this is my second album, and I finally completed it yesterday. So sorry for all the ums. I'm in an umming mood today for some reason. I'll just put these here while I'm chatting to you. There's another Right, I'm going to make a concerted effort not to I got this from charity shops a couple of days ago. These are all, I'm only showing them because I'm just chatting away here. These are all things I intend to alter at some point. Look at this. I didn't get this from a charity shop. I actually bought that brand new from a little shop, I think for $6. Isn't that cute? I took the candle out of it because I'm getting ready to alter it. It's only a little thing, look at it. So anyway, this I've pulled off all the horrible 1970s dried flowers decorations, and I can't pull that bottom bit off, but I'm going to work on it. So, sorry, lots of dust there. Okay, so my first album. Oh no, pardon me, my second album. What was meant to be my first album, and this one is staying with me. And it's huge. I mean, really, it's huge. I measured it. The actual page size, without any embellishments, is 11 inches down by 8.5 inches across. With the embellishments, it becomes a lot bigger. so you can see it just. But because I was making it for myself. Oops, there's an Because I was making it for myself, I wasn't particularly worried too much about the size, simply because I'm not having to post it anywhere, and I wanted it to, be. It's a sort of like a oh heck album. Oh heck, what the heck is this? It's that kind of album because it's so big. But that doesn't matter. It's for me. And one of my passions, apart from scrapping and altering stuff, is history. And I have been interested in history since I was a small child, and I can never get enough of history. So this actually is full of things that I'm very interested in. And I wrote the heading on a grosgrain ribbon that was part of an amazing rack that my friend Irene, Seriously Scrapping on YouTube, and she's in Australia, sent me about 3 weeks ago. And so I cut a bit off and I frayed all the edges, and I wrote here in a smudged fashion in permanent pen, Royal Ladies of Europe, 1700 to 1800. And of course this isn't all the royal ladies, and some of the ladies didn't start being royal, but they married or were mistresses of royalty, or people who became royal. So this is down here we've got an image of Versailles, the Palace of Versailles in Paris, or just out of Paris, which is as it was in the 18th century, and the royal family use this quite a lot as their home from time to time. when they didn't want to live actually inside of Paris. So this is a necklace I got from an op shop. I just cut bits off it and popped it in there. This is a rose that was from Irene. It was actually on a piece of wrapping that she'd done. These are Prima roses here, 1, 2 and 3 Prima roses, and they're beautiful. They're just all glittered up. I got them off a shop in Etsy. There's some organza roses here and here. This is from Irene as well. This might be from Irene actually. This is my own. That was from a shop in Etsy, and I think that's Prima, along with the leaves. The cameo I bought from off eBay, fabric rose, and these are just Chinese braid and other trims. The basis of this is actually a doily, and it's organza, beautiful embroidered organza doily. And you can see I left the back clear because A, because it's a heavy album, and B, because I wanted you to see I wanted to see the doily itself. So there's the doily. It's got scalloped edges. It's in an altered shape. It was big enough to wrap around the book, and I just popped in, and it had these embroidered roses on, and they're on the front as well, but they've been hidden by all the embellishments. So that's just the back, and we'll go back to the front again. Oh, before I go, I might as well show you that. There's the spine. It's got an actual spine on it, because I used the technique that that was shown on a tutorial by Jeanette, and Jeanette is Scrapping Happy, a lovely lady, Jeanette, Scrapping Happy here on YouTube, and she's another talented Australian lady. They've got lots of talented Australian ladies, I tell you. This here was bright pink, and I got it off eBay. It was too pink, too modern looking in the colour for this album, which I wanted to be in a style of it's not exactly a vintage style, it's sort of a Baroque, Rococo, 18th century style. I tried to use the colours and stuff like that they used in those days. So I tea stained this, and I will be doing a little tutorial because I've been asked by a couple of ladies if I can do a tutorial on tea staining and avocado staining and other various things, because one of them said that their tea staining didn't come out very nice. So there's heaps of tutorials on tea staining, but you know, that's fine. I'll just do a little short one, tell you how the technique I use. This piece of lace here comes from up here, and I wound it round here and sort of popped it up. That's also from Irene. That was wrapped around something that she sent me in my rack. Okay, now the opening. That there isn't supposed to be there. It's just there to keep this ribbon in place, simply because it slips out of this antique 1930s buckle, which is part of my collection. So I've put that in because what I need to get is a Velcro dot to pop in there. So that's what that is doing there. This modern miss thing. See, it just slips out, so that's what I need to do. That's glued into place on the other side, and as I say, this is supposed to be there. This is part of quite a large collection of antique buckles that I've had for many years, and that's one about from 1920s, 1930s. It's got paste, what do you call them, pave cut supposed diamonds, but they're actually not diamonds, of course, because if they were, I'd be not putting them on this album, that's for sure. Oops, sorry, I just knocked the tripod. So that's the cover anyway. There's those embroidered flowers at the back, they're just there. So we'll go on to the first page, and this is, as I say, the ladies of the royal courts throughout Europe. The majority of the ladies are attached, or have become attached at some point, to the French court in Paris, which was very prevalent in those days. That was probably the major court of Europe. Very flamboyant. So I've made a pocket in each page, and in each page I've put a tag. I've made a tag, and I've made it using cardboard and then printing out these off the internet, which I found, and these are actual fashion plates, original fashion plates from the 18th century. So this gown would have been about 1760, 1770. So these are actual fashion plates, and then I put archival sepia ink around dotted it around there to give it an old look, and just wrote on the back. So I'll show you this lovely lady here. My camera doesn't really pick up good detail, but there she is. Lovely young woman. This is my white page. And this is Princess Marie-Thérèse Victoire. I don't know whether I'm pronouncing that correctly. Victoire, as the English version of that would be Victoria. So she's a princess. She is what was known as, in French, une fille. Hold on. Une fille de France. I think that's how to pronounce it. I don't know. That's schoolgirl French. That means she's a daughter or a girl of France, because she was a daughter of the king. So this is Princess. She was known as Victoire because everybody was known as Marie Therese for some reason. So throughout Europe, so she was called Victoire. And she was born in 1732 and she died in 1800. So she was 66 when she died, which is quite a good age for those days. And she was the daughter of King Louis the 15th of France, and she was the aunt of King Louis the 16th, who was the husband of Marie Antoinette. She didn't have a particularly good relationship with Marie Antoinette, actually, because I think she wanted Marie Antoinette to come under her line of thinking. You know, like people she didn't like, she wanted Marie Antoinette not to like, because Marie Antoinette was a very young girl when she went to Paris, to the French court. I think she was 14 or 15. So she wanted to take that young mind and mould it to the way she thought. But Marie Antoinette was advised by her mother not to do that, and so she didn't. So she never really liked Marie Antoinette. And she actually escaped from France early on in the Revolution at the insistence of the royal family, and she died somewhere out of France in 1800. So that's not too long after the Revolution, because the Revolution was started around about 1792 or 1791. So she didn't die too much after that Revolution. And she never married because there were no monarchs or heirs to thrones throughout Europe, and she just refused to marry what she considered to be beneath her station in life, and her two sisters were the same, so the three sisters all remained unmarried. I think the other two girls were Louise and Sophie. So I've got a glittery V up here for Victoire, and this is from Irene, this flower. It was part of my prize winnings, or a swap maybe, a swap. Got a nice beaded and wedding applique up in the corner there. That was from Lynn, who's Bead Fairy 1 in England. And just various things dotted around. This is a prima, silvery grey prima flower, because her gown is beautiful silvery grey. The pocket itself came off a scarf, was the part of the bottom of a scarf. It's got embroidered butterflies here. Beautiful little scarf, so I didn't want to cover it completely up, so I've left it. And there's lots of other embellishments around here. This is off an artificial flower I got just a couple of days ago, so that was popped in there. So that's the first page. Princess Victoire, who was evidently not a great person, really. I mean, you know, she looks nice, but she was evidently a bit of a harridan. Okay, and here's my pink page. These are all tea stained down here. They're of various things. So I've left the tea staining on that one. I've left that in longer, so it became a bit darker than that one there, just for contrast. Some metal leaves, and I think these might have come from Irene in part of a swap, or it may have been a winnings from a last year from a challenge of hers. There's a little vintage button there. I tea stained these because they were too bright in the colour, too modern, so I tea stained them to a darker. There's a cameo there which I edged around with string pearls. There's various trims really. There's that pretty trim there. This was off a placemat which was white, and I tea stained that. There's an earring, off an earring rather. A clip earring. I took the back of it off. There's a gorgeous little bird here. Look at him, little raspberry bird. I got him off Blitsy, and I've only got 2 left. Oh, I'd love to have had more. I just love them. There's doilies around all over the place. Lace on the back. There's the pocket. Oh, there's a cherub sitting on a vintage pink applique, and that was dyed. That was white, but I dyed it with avocado skins, and I popped pearls everywhere. And because in the French court, well, perhaps throughout Europe, pearls were considered to be more of an indication of wealth than diamonds and gold at that period. So I put lots of pearls in. This flower I took off a child's headband and popped the centre in. So this lovely lady, she's all dressed in a beautiful pink gown. She's a very pretty young lady. And that's the tag I made for her. And this is Marie Louise Adelaide, and she was born in 1753, and she died in 1821. So she was 50, 60, 70, she was about 60 or 70 when she died, but she's a good age. She was the Duchess of Chartres. I think that would have been in France. She was married at 16 to Louis Philippe, who was the Duc de l'Orleans, which is Duke of Orleans. And she was the wealthiest heiress in France prior to the Revolution. She was the mother, actually the mother of France's last king when they restored the throne after the Revolution, but it didn't last for long. Her husband, unfortunately, was executed in the French Revolution by guillotine in 1793. She was put in prison for many years, but she escaped execution, and she was exiled to Spain upon her release. And I believe she returned to France when the danger was over, and years later, and she actually died in Paris, I think. That's the whole story there. So you can get these tags in, but I can never get them. I can get them in originally, and then I can never get them back in again. But there you go, tucked in there. A lot of these pockets are made of lace fabric, wide lace fabric, or they're made of doilies. So now let's see if my camera will go over 18 minutes, because I've got a new chip in it that was out of my husband's camera, which broke. So this is my gold page, and this is basically all done in beautiful soft champagnes and gold colours, and really it's self-explanatory. This I'll just go over the more obvious. So this was a white applique, wedding applique from Bead Fairy 1 in England. That's Lynn, and I tea stained it to bring up that nice colour. These were white, and I tea stained them to get a lovely champagne colour, and the same for the trim down there. These were that colour when I bought them. This was tea stained, so there's a lot of tea staining going on this page here. This was my first ever rolled rose, and I made it in probably last year sometime. It's not glued. I think I hand stitched it, but I was quite happy with that. It was made out of a beautiful gold chiffon or organza scarf with a lovely gold shimmer through it. Got 3 resin hearts up here, and I've got these were tea stained again to get a nice champagne colour. And then I popped in pearls. That's another of my flowers. I got that off the Fiona Jennings tutorial, which is just running a stitch and gathering it, but I doubled it up. And organza flowers, that's tea stained flower. Now this lovely young lady here, oh yeah, look, it's gone over 18 minutes. We're now into 19 minutes, so it has worked. My clever husband, isn't he clever? This was off an old vintage earring. So I'm going to show you that. Which I took the clip off. There's a B button on an applique which I tea stained. Now this lovely young lady here has got a tragic story. There she is. And there's her tag that I made for her. And over here. Okay, so this is the Countess of Nuremberg Kroner. And by the sound of it, that sounds like it's around Austria or Germany, I would think. She was born in 1740 and she died in 1761 at the age of 21. And at 17, this lovely young lady fell in love with another young man in her father's palace, but unfortunately her father had betrothed her years before to another man much higher up in the social scale, the hierarchy, and he was very angry that she was refusing to marry this other man because she loved this young man. So her father had the man that she loved assassinated, and she was able to get to him. She obviously heard about this and this plot, and she was able to get to him, and I think he died in her arms a couple of minutes later after she got to him and flung herself down on the ground and held him. So she was forced into that arranged marriage, quite a heartbroken girl. Her husband apparently adored her, but she never had any affection for him. She was a dutiful wife, apparently, and she gave her husband a daughter, but unfortunately a year later in her second pregnancy she got smallpox, which was very prevalent in those days and a big killer. So she got smallpox. The baby was born prematurely at about 6 months and died, and a week later she died as well. So she was 21 years of age when she died. And you know, I like to think that she went to join the man that she loved, his life had been cruelly taken away by her father, or at her father's instigation. That was very sad, isn't it? What used to happen to some of these girls? They were just bargaining chips and power things for the family, really. Okay, so I'm going to do one more page, I think, and that will get me, or maybe 2 more pages, that will get me halfway through this big album of mine. This is the white page, and we've got some soft tulle down here, very soft, like net. This is a ceramic rose, which I believe came from Irene, Seriously Scrapping. Irene, you've given me so much stuff. Honestly, everything in this album comes from you. Well, not quite. This is Etsy, and this is the same as the one I did over here, which I did with tea stain and got a lovely champagne colour. And this is in the original white with pearls. This is the pocket made of it's got lace fabric, and then I put a white doily over top of it. Got some lovely bling up here on an applique, which I put the bling on, the silver bling, and some rolled roses that I popped into a fabric rose there, or 2. Got some antique gold lace up here, and we've got trims, so there's lots of trims. There's like layers and layers and layers. There's lovely twiny lace here that I twined around the flower, around the image. This is off a bridal headdress. And then I popped a crystal in here. It's a chandelier crystal, quite a large one. I popped that in there. That was off a spare chandelier crystal off one of my big chandeliers. So I thought that would look nice here. And this is some of this, more of this beautiful meandering lace. It's absolutely gorgeous. So the bottom down here, I don't know whether you can see it. It's got fabric roses down here. It's got there's so many layers under here. There's net here, there's a little layer of pointed lace, Venetian lace there, there's organza lace there, and that's the dory from the other side. So, okay, going back to this lovely lady, there she is, a beautiful young girl, and she's dressed in the classical Greek style, which often their portraits were done in. So here's her, this is her tag. And this is Princess Louise Henriette de Bourbon, de Bourbon-Conti. Henriette in English would be Henriette or Henrietta. And she was born in 1726 and she died in 1759 at the age of 32. And I think she might have died in childbirth, which a lot of women did in those days. So she was the Duchess d'Orleans of the Duchess of Orleans, goodness knows I can't pronounce these. So she was the, this lady over here in the pink was married to her son. Yep, that's it, because they all had the same names. So she was married to Louis Philippe, and that made her become the Duchess of Chartres. But her son was also called Louis Philippe, and her grandson was called Louis Philippe. And Louis Philippe, her grandson, became Louis Philippe the First, and he was the last king of France following the negotiations, restoration of the throne after the Revolution. So she was the grandmother of the last king of France, and this lady here was the mother of the last king of France. So this would have been her daughter-in-law. Okay, well there you go, a history lesson. You probably don't want it, but you know, that's one of my passions in life, and I can't get that in there, but you know, I'll just tuck it in there. And I think I'm going to close now and do a part 2. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.